How do we make salsa even better, you might ask? Well, my friends, we fire roast it on the grill. We all love salsa, and today we're going to be taking it to the next level using our grill. On the Kamado Joe, we're going to be firing it up and getting some nice char grilled flavors on some really nice tomatoes, 2 kinds of peppers, some onions, some limes, and then we're going to blend it all together, and I guarantee you it's going to be your new favorite snack going into the summer. It's funny, I was coming on out here and I was taking a look at some of the YouTube analytics, and it says that 90% of the people statistically that are watching this video right now have not subscribed. So if you are into grilling, if you like good recipes, please consider subscribing. It definitely helps the channel out. So the star of the show is going to be the Roma tomato. I got these at the store today, and it's starting to become tomato season. I got some really good beefsteak tomatoes for sandwiches, but this is the time of year to be using tomatoes. And got a really nice Roma tomato. This is good for making sauce, great for making salsa, and we're going to be throwing this on the grill, blister up the skin a little bit, and get some good smoky flavor on it. And then we got 2 different kinds of peppers. We got some jalapeno peppers as well as serrano. We'll talk a little bit more about what that means, and this will be really depending on what your flavor profile is and how much spice you want. I like it spicy, so I'm going to be using a majority of these. And then other classic salsa flavors: white onion, lime, cilantro, some seasoning. Like I said, this is going to be a quick cook. We're just heating some stuff up, getting some char, so this is going to be maybe like a 10-minute thing that you can jam out real quick. We're going to throw it in the fridge, and then this thing's ready to eat in about an hour after it cools down. Okay, grill's up to 400 degrees. This isn't a long cook, and so I'm not so much focused on the actual temperature. I just want some flames. So come on in here. I'm going to show you how I got this separated out. So I don't have this thing divided, but I got a pretty central zone of heat. You got the coals down there, and so I got this nice hot spot right here, but I got a little bit of a cooler spot right here that I can move some of the more well-done stuff to the side while the rest of the stuff finishes off. But you know, if this starts to come more up to flame, that's okay. Like I said, it's gonna be a quick cook. So like I said, we're talking maybe about 5 minutes or so in total. And yeah, we're gonna get some stuff chopped up here. By the way, thanks to the Eagle Eye viewers, I know this thing is starting to fall down. I got to go ahead and reapply the gasket. Might be a cool video, actually. It's something that you got to do every few years. But we're going to go ahead, get some vegetables cut up, and get them on the grill. So we're going to start with the tomatoes. I'm keeping tomatoes whole today, and the reason I'm doing that is because I want to preserve the juice. If I had a cast iron skillet today, I might slice them in half, put them flesh side down, and get a little bit of a sear on it. Then I could save the juice within the pan and pour it into the blender. I don't have a cast iron pan on me right now, so we're going to throw these on whole right now, and then we're going to focus on some of the other veggies. Still hanging around 400 degrees. We're going to open this up, and then we're just going to put these tomatoes on. And it's not a raging fire. It's a mellow fire, and we're just gonna let that go. But I'd say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I could probably hold my hand over that for about 5 seconds or so. So these are gonna come on up. Right now, we're gonna go cut up some onions and cut up some jalapenos and serrano peppers. Okay, so I have about 9 tomatoes on the grill right now, so I'm going to use maybe about 1 onion. One of the things, this is just a personal preference, but what I like to do, this is all going to get blended up anyway, but I like that crunch of the onion, and I like a little bit of that brightness showing with the cilantro, so I might save part of this onion, or I got a second one here if I prefer, save some of that and throw in some just raw diced onion at the very end that's not going to get blended, just so I can have some texture. But for right now, what we're going to do, we're going to chop up this onion and get it on the grill and get some of the char marks just like the tomatoes. I'm thinking that looks good. Quarter it, because then you can lay it on the side just like that. Makes it easier for maneuvering. Been about 2 minutes now, so let's take a look and see how these tomatoes are doing. Yeah, pretty quick. See that skin starting to blister? So you can definitely tell where the hot zone is. Yeah, outside, much more mild. So here, we'll move this little guy off to the edge. And let some of these others get some of that heat. So I have 4 quarter pieces of onion. I'm gonna go ahead and chop off the end pieces and then remove the outer skin. So you can see just 30 seconds, maybe a minute of this dome being open. That fire is really starting to come up. So we're gonna get these onions down, nice and easy. And you can smell the onion immediately once it hits. But you can see the juices here seeping out of the tomatoes. They're starting to get a little more tender. I'm about ready to move them off onto the side portion here, because I don't want to absolutely blister them and make it feel have a burnt taste. I want it to have a smoky taste. So we're gonna move those tomatoes over to the more the indirect side. Like I said, I'm not setting this up for 2-zone cooking like I have with some other cooks, but this is down here just a natural area where it's not gonna be as hot as in the center of the actual grill. like that. That's kind of what I'm going for. Nothing too major. It already has the smoky flavor that I'm aiming for. Almost lost it there. All right, let's focus on some serranos and some jalapenos. Next up, and one of the final steps, is peppers. We got serranos and jalapeno peppers. Jalapenos more traditional, a little bit more mild. Serranos more spicy. I like it spicy, so I'm probably gonna do a combination of these. I'm not exactly sure how many. You can always add more, but you can't take away. So I'm gonna roast all of them up, and if I wanna make it a little bit spicier, I can add later. So for the jalapenos, I wanna slice them in half. It starts by taking off the end. Slice in half. I'm gonna leave the seeds for now. Looking good. And then for the serranos, I'm just gonna take off the stems because they're kind of smaller. I wanna keep them manageable. Got some halved jalapenos, got my whole serranos. Let's go ahead and take a look at the onions and probably give them a flip. Grill continues to rise. Let's take a look. Tomatoes resting nicely. Onions starting to get a little char there. I'm gonna move those over here. Oh yeah, look at that. Make room for these peppers. I'm gonna go skin side down on the jalapenos. And the 3 serranos. Man, that looks good. Could be wallpaper on a phone. We're getting so close to being done. The tomatoes are pretty much there. I could pull those off and blend them up if I wanted to. But we're gonna let this dome stay open probably, and let those flames just start to kiss the peppers. You're really gonna start feeling it here in a couple seconds. It's gonna feel almost like a mild pepper spray coming at you, because that's kind of what it is. It's the capsaicin getting burnt off. So I'm gonna watch it here. I'm gonna watch these onions, maybe give those a flip, make sure we got some good coloring going around all of them. And at that point, it's gonna be time to get these off, get them in a bowl. You can let them sweat a little bit. That's a good way to do it. But we're gonna get them into a blender, throw some cilantro, some lime, and then we're gonna give it a taste. This is normally when I shut the grill and we move on to the next segment, but we're just gonna leave it open. I'm gonna sit here and enjoy these peppers and onions and everything, and just that aroma. You could hear the peppers starting to pop a little bit. Maybe 2 more minutes or so of the dome being completely open, and come on in here, take a look and see what I'm looking at. The peppers have been popping. I feel like that's a nursery rhyme, but we're gonna take a look here, flip them over. Awesome char, you see that? On the serranos and the jalapenos. I did flip the onions, you see that? So we're gonna flip all these. And these things are about ready to come on off. These tomatoes, really nice and tender. I think it's time to get these off. The tomatoes have burst a little bit and they're starting to seep out a little bit. My big thing was that I didn't want to lose a lot of that juice, and if we leave them on for much longer, that's going to be what starts to happen. So I'm going to pull these off. Pull off those onions there. Come on, Max. Pull off what remaining onions I have. And like I said, I want to maybe keep a little bit for possibly chunking in bigger later. And I'm going to pull these peppers off now. So 3 serranos, and that right there smells incredible. Big time pepper on the front because it's just here on the top, and it's just the most pungent at this point. But we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get this blended up. Taste for salt and pepper, maybe throw a little garlic in there, chop up the rest of this onion. Got a couple limes here. In fact, bonus, watch this. I got 2 lime halves here. It's real time. It's not real time because you're watching a recorded video, but I'm gonna put those down and get some grill marks, and we're gonna squeeze that in at the very last minute. So we got the grilled limes that I was talking about. Those just came off, and we have our blender. We're gonna blend this up. I do have a molicante, which is kind of cool. That's the authentic style where you take the mortar and you really just grind it all down. It takes a little bit more time. It's a little bit more chunky. I think I'm gonna go smooth today, and this is something that most people have in their kitchen, so that's why I wanted to use it. It's gonna do a great job of breaking down everything. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna put the tomatoes in. That's gonna be the base. Gonna throw all, I think it was 9 tomatoes, and then the rest of the onion and most of the peppers, we're gonna give a little taste. And if I wanna add some more peppers, I can do that. Tomatoes in. And here, I know I'm gonna throw in some jalapenos. So there's 1 whole jalapeno, another tomato. Here's about a half an onion right here. There's the 3/4 of an onion, tomato. So here's where I wanna get dangerous. There's 1 jalapeno in there. I definitely want a serrano. Pretty sure I want another jalapeno. And I'll throw in another serrano. So that leaves me with one serrano and one jalapeno that I can use to adjust if I want it to be more spicy. And we got some juices in there. Don't want those to go to waste. Throw that in. Next up, I want to use that lime. So I got this nice little citrus smasher here. Get that in. We can always use some more if we need to. Just love that brightness that it brings out. Kind of like the cilantro. We're going to cut that up right now. I'm going to throw in a big chunk of cilantro. Might add it in some more later for just for some texture like I talked about. Salt, because we haven't used any salt so far, so I'm going to hit it. We can always hit it once it's been blended up. Everything's in. Tomatoes, peppers, cilantro, salt, lime, onion. Let's blend it up. Looks good. Let's this is always where you find if you made a wrong decision or not by adding those peppers. When you open it up, is it just going to gas you and make you choke, or is it going to smell nice? Let's see. So it's nice and hot. I think it's good. It's definitely on the spicier side, which is good for me. Maybe not for everyone, but we're going to go ahead, give this a little bit of a taste. If I need to add another pepper, I doubt it. We can, but this is looking pretty good. Stick around. Looks good. Let's try it. Spot on. Really good heat. I like that a lot. Not too much though. It's not crazy like challenge level. Nice and warm. So this is good. This the last thing I want to do. I don't want to serve it like this. I want to put it in a bowl. And like I mentioned before, I saved a little bit of onion to kind of chop up a little bit roughly, and some cilantro. So we're gonna go ahead and pour this in, and then time to serve it up. This tastes fantastic, even though it's warm. I want to go ahead and put this in the fridge for a little bit before we serve it, but we're going to go ahead, put it in the Pyrex dish for the final step. Last step, I saved about a quarter of that onion. I'm going to go ahead and just sort of rough chop this, just because I do like a little bit of texture within the salsa. We'll mix all this together. A couple more pieces of cilantro. And when I say piece, it's just a handful, rough chopped. So now, because I have little room for air, I'm going to try to carefully mix all this in. And that right there is the final product. This is my final product. Tomatoes, serranos, jalapenos, onions, roasted on the grill. Bring out some of that flavor, bring out some of that char with some good cilantro and lime juice. Super simple. You cannot go wrong. Going to give this another taste. The tomatoes and the jalapenos and the peppers give that richness, but the lime and that cilantro really wake it up. A little salt, and that's all you need. And like I said before, I'm going to refrigerate this for a few hours or overnight. I would keep this in the fridge for a couple days at least until you want to serve it. As always, super fun cook, super easy cook, very minimal cleanup as well, but definitely give this a try. I think you're going to like it. And let me know in the comments how you're doing your salsa, what you would change about this. I'm always open ears. If you like this video, please consider subscribing and hit that like button. It definitely helps us out. And as always, really appreciate the feedback. Give this a try. We'll see you next time.